Hey friends, welcome to this new video dedicated to Garten of Banban 8. Only 9 days left until the release of the new chapter, and the countdown is getting closer and closer to the end. The wait is huge, and I know that you, just like me, can't wait to find out what awaits us in this mysterious new adventure. In the past few hours, FARIS, one of the two developers from the Euphoric Brothers, has shared several new messages on Discord, and some of them are really important. In particular, one of these messages seems to contain fundamental clues about what we might see in the next chapter. Today we will analyze these messages together, word by word, trying to uncover all the hidden secrets and the possible teasers that the developers are leaving us almost in secret. But before we start, let me remind you of something super important. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because in the next few days I'll be publishing many more videos dedicated to Garten of Banban 8, and you definitely don't want to miss them. Also, leave a big like on this video to support me and to let me know that you enjoy these theories and analysis about the game. We will see which messages FARIS has shared and we'll try to interpret them. So get ready, because soon we'll start our full analysis. Alright friends, let's start right away with the first message that FARIS shared on Discord. A user asked him if in Chapter 8 there will be the liminal vibes, and FARIS's reply was very simple but at the same time enigmatic. He answered with the eyes emoji. Now, at first glance it might look like a playful answer, almost random. But if we follow the communication style of the Euphoric Brothers, we know that every detail has a meaning and nothing is left to chance. The choice of that emoji, in fact, is not random at all. It's as if FARIS was telling us, stay alert, keep your eyes open because there's something you need to notice. So this answer, in my opinion, is not neutral at all. On the contrary, it can be interpreted as a positive signal. Yes, in Chapter 8 we could really have liminal vibes. But what do we mean when we talk about liminal vibes? The term is used to describe that strange, unsettling and almost surreal feeling we experience when we are inside liminal spaces. Liminal spaces are transitional places, zones that don't fully belong to one context or another, and for this reason, they create a sense of disorientation. A very famous example is the backrooms, an endless series of hallways, all identical, with flickering fluorescent lights and a silence that almost speaks by itself. The backrooms have become a real symbol of liminal space, so much that they gave birth to entire horror games based on this concept. And now the interesting part. If Chapter 8 introduces liminal vibes, we could find ourselves in rooms, corridors and environments that strongly resemble the backrooms. Imagine being inside the Banban's kindergarten and suddenly stumbling upon a door you've never seen before. You open it, and on the other side you find an infinite corridor, with faded walls, lamps making a constant annoying noise, and a feeling of total disorientation. This would be an incredibly powerful choice from the developers because it would push the game into a more psychological level, creating constant anxiety and tension. Already in previous chapters we saw corridors, mysterious rooms, and places that seemed larger or smaller than they should have been. But the idea of introducing real liminal spaces would give Chapter 8 a new and more disturbing atmosphere. Think about how the gameplay experience could change. We wouldn't just be running from mascots or solving puzzles, but also dealing with the constant doubt of being lost in a place with no beginning and no end. And you know what's the most interesting thing? Liminal vibes don't create fear with the classic jump scares, but with the feeling of strangeness. And this could be one of the elements of Chapter 8. Now, let's try to understand in which area of Chapter 8 these famous liminal spaces could actually appear. As always, we need to think carefully and analyze what we know from the trailers and from the information the developers have already shared. The first area we can definitely exclude is the prison. From the trailer, it is clear that the prison will have a rather regular structure. Orderly corridors, well-defined cells, a symmetrical and functional layout. There are no elements that recall the idea of an undefined place typical of the backrooms. So, as creepy as the prison may be because of its enemies and puzzles, it doesn't seem to be an environment designed to transmit those liminal vibes. The second area we can exclude is the city. Again, the reason is simple. We already saw part of the city in Chapter 7. Its structure follows a coherent urban scheme, with streets, buildings. It's true that the city might contain mysterious and threatening places, but basically it remains a comprehensible space, with real-world logic and geometry. In short, no endless corridors or strange environments that seem suspended between two worlds. And here we arrive at the two most interesting places, the ones that remain as possibilities, Syringion's clinic and the caves. These two scenarios are the most likely candidates to introduce liminal spaces. Let's start with Syringion's clinic. Looking at the trailer, we immediately notice an atmosphere that strongly reminds us of the backrooms. There are long corridors illuminated by fluorescent lights that already seem to flicker, identical doors placed side by side, all the same, and a sense of emptiness and repetition that is unsettling just to look at. That's the point. The clinic, at least from what we've seen, is not a simple medical facility. It is a place that seems purposely built to make us lose our sense of orientation. And let's not forget one crucial detail: we won't be alone in the clinic. In Chapter 8 we will encounter Clorenzo, one of the new creatures, and especially Banban, with his new transformation. These creatures will hunt us down right in those endless corridors. Think about it for a second. Long identical spaces, unstable lighting, doors that could open into empty or identical rooms, and behind us, the sound of Clorenzo's footsteps or the terrifying presence of transformed Banban. It's exactly the same atmosphere we feel in backrooms games, where fear doesn't come only from the environment, but from the fact that there is no clear way out. Now, let's move on to the caves. Here too, the situation is very interesting. Even though it's a natural environment and not artificial, caves can take on characteristics very similar to liminal spaces. Imagine long tunnels carved into the rock, narrow passages that suddenly open into immense chambers, walls that all look the same, and the constant feeling of not knowing whether we're going in circles or moving forward. And let's remember one very important piece of information. A few weeks ago, FARIS already confirmed that in the caves, we will play the most difficult and horror part of the entire Chapter 8. This makes us think that the caves won't just be a place to cross, but an environment designed to terrify the player completely. And what better way to do this than by adding liminal vibes here too? The feeling of being lost underground, with no reference point, with passages that seem to repeat endlessly, fits perfectly with what we could call a natural liminal space. So, in conclusion, the two most likely places where we could experience this new atmosphere are Syringan's clinic and the caves. The clinic because it visually resembles the back rooms and is enhanced by the presence of the new creatures. The caves because they've been declared as the most horror section and could be structured precisely to disorient and frighten us to the maximum. In both cases, it seems clear that the Euphoric brothers are aiming for an even more intense psychological experience, one that doesn't rely only on sudden jump scares, but also on the constant anxiety of being trapped in a place that has neither end nor logic. Now let's move on to another very interesting message. A user directly asked FARIS if Flumbos will be our ally in Chapter 8. FARIS's reply was very short. Indeed, he can't answer. And when the developers avoid giving a clear answer, it often means that something important is hiding behind it. So let's try to theorize together. If Banban will actually be our enemy in this chapter, and we already know that he will have a new transformation, then it is very likely that Flambo will become our ally. Flambo is Banban's enemy, and if Banban will be hunting us, Flambo could be the only one to give us real help. So we might find ourselves facing a temporary alliance with Flambo, not out of friendship or trust, but out of mutual convenience. He helps us to counter Banban, and in return we might allow him to carry on with his own plan. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. You are amazing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.